Okay, so yesterday we talked about how we're going to, about the different types of terms. So today we're going to talk about multiplying monomials and or distributing a monomial to a binomial. Okay, well, I just said a whole lot. So let's talk about that. Remember, a monomial would be something like 3x or x or -1, okay, or x squared. All of those are monomials because they have one term, okay? A binomial has two terms, so they might be x plus 4 or 3x minus 7 or x squared plus x, okay? Those are all binomials. So today we're going to be dealing with monomials and binomials only. We won't be multiplying binomials times each other. I gave you all the, some classes I gave the wrong paper, so we're going to take all of our notes in our ISN, so don't worry about the green paper. Keep it though, because we might use it on another day. But we're going to take all of our notes in our ISN, and we're going to use the online tiles today. Okay, so first of all, let's talk a little bit about what. Let's talk a little bit about just some kind of basics to kind of get us up to where we want to be. Okay, so first of all, if I look at this, what is another way that I could write that? Pause for a second and tell me some ways I could write that. Okay, well, I could write it as 9. I could write it as 3 squared. So let's focus on 3 squared for a minute. Okay, 4 times 4 is 4 squared. 5 times 5 is 5 squared. That's a 2. 6 times 6 is 6 squared. Okay, and of course I could work that out and see what I got. X times x is what? Well, if 3 times 3 is 3 squared, 4 times 4 is 4 squared, and so on, then x times x has got to be x squared. And since I don't know the value of x, that would be where I would stop with that. Okay? What about x squared times x? That's a little trickier. Well, if I expand this out, look over here. X squared is x times x. Well, x times x times x is x to the 3rd power. Okay? These are some basics that we're going to need to learn. We're going to learn like a whole bunch of exponent rules later on, but for now, we're just going to be doing some kind of basic stuff like this. So I'm not worried too much. I have x times x times x. That means I have x to the 3rd power. We're just going to do basics like this. Okay, so now that we know that, let's take it a little bit further and let's look at some slightly more complicated questions. Okay, so what about this one? 3x. What's that one going to be? Well, that would be 3x. Okay. What about 5x times x squared? Take a moment and figure that one out for me. Okay, well, that would be 5 times x times x times x, which is 5x to the 3rd. Okay? So now we're going to actually start looking at tiling this stuff. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to take just a moment, okay, and we're going to use the tiles. Now, okay, so when you first get to this, so take a moment right now and get to those tiles. Okay, so when you get there, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see free play mode, okay? On iPad, you kind of have to hold it down, just slide your finger down a little bit to get the menu to stay open. We want to go to factor mode, okay? You know you're in factor mode when you see like this top row and this bottom row. It's factor or multiplication, because remember, a factor is a part of a, so factor times factor equals product. So it's one of the two things you multiply together to make when in a multiplication problem, okay? So we're going to have it in factor mode because we're going to be multiplying monomials or binomials, okay? So the first one that we're going to multiply, okay, is 2 times 3x plus 2, okay? So what we're going to do, it doesn't matter where you put whichever one. I mean, I like to put the first one here and the second one up on top. It doesn't matter, honestly, okay? But you're going to put everything, so this is my first factor, and this is my second factor, okay? So I'm going to take 2. Those are 2 ones, so I'm going to drag 2 little ones onto the board, okay? Then my other factor is 3x plus 2, so I'm going to drag 3 x's and 2 ones, okay? Now I'm going to look at each of these separately. Okay, and I'm gonna multiply them together. So I have 2 times 1x gives me 2 x's. Okay, 2 times 1x is 2 x's, and then 2 times 1x is 2 x's. Or I could have done 2 times 3 x's gives me 6 x's. Okay, so now I've multiplied all of my x's together, x's by 2. Now I'm going to take 2 times 2. Well, 2 times 2 is 1, 2, 3, 4. All right? That is how we multiply. Let me do that again, okay? So I have, whoopsie, I have 2. I'm going to show you that all over again because it's maybe the first time we've tiled with these. 2x times, well, 2 times 3x plus 2. Okay, so when I put the factors out, I'm going to put the first factor on one side. It doesn't matter if it's the top or the bottom, top or the left. I'm going to put the other factor in the other space. And then I'm going to start multiplying them together. So I have 3x's times 2. Well, that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 x's. Okay, so 3x's times 2 gives me 6 x's. Now over here I have 2x's times 2, 2 times 2, which gives me 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoopsie, 4. Whoopsie, 4. Okay, this is what we've done up until now. This is straight distribution, but we're modeling it. Okay, and now I count up whatever's down here in my product area. So my factors, product goes here. Well, I have 6 x's plus 4, okay? Because when I distribute this, I get 6 x's plus 4, all right? Let's try another one. This one's going to be a little bit harder, okay? For this one, I've already set up the outside because it was easier. So this next one that we do, hold on, let me get another sheet of paper out. The next one is going to be 3x times 2x, okay? So I have 3 x's and I have 2 x's. Okay, so what did we say x times x is? Well, x times x is x squared. Notice how the length of the bar is now the length of my box. Okay, and then x times x here is x squared. X times x here is x squared. X squared. X squared. X squared. And now that I've multiplied everything and I see that I've got, a rectangle, what is my answer? Well, is 6 x's. So how would we have done that algebraically? Well, what I do is I kind of separate it. I multiply the numbers and then I multiply the letters. So 3 times 2 is 6. X times x is x squared. I'm sorry, that should be x squared. Okay? All right. Let's try one more. I want you to clear them all out, and then we'll try, I don't know why I didn't do that, but if you have to, tap them and clear selected, and then we'll try the next one, okay? The next one is, let me move this up so we can see it, is x times negative 2x, okay? So I have an x times negative 2x. Again, it doesn't matter where I put them. If you put yours here and the other one's up there, that's totally fine. Okay, now, this time, what does a positive times a negative give me? Well, positive times negative is negative. So a positive x times a negative x gives me a negative x squared. A positive x times a negative x gives me a negative x squared. So my final answer is negative 2x squared. So I have 2 negative x squareds, but the negative always goes in the front. If I was doing this algebraically, I would put my invisible 1. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. X times x is x squared. And I get the same answer. Okay? All right. Let's try one last one like this, and then we're going to actually start kind of taking it out of algebra tiles, and we're going to start doing it with math. We're going to use a strategy called the box. I want you to try this one and see what you get, and then we'll compare our answers, and then we'll go from there. Okay, for this one, I have x times x is x squared. X times x is x squared. X times x is x squared. X times 1 is x. So my expression here is x times 3x plus 1 equals 3x squared plus x. And if I look at this, If I distribute this, 1 times 3 is 3, x times x is x squared. 1 times 1 is 1, x is right there. So I ended up getting the same answer. Okay? So what does all this mean? Okay, we've just done tiles. Now let's talk. Now we're obviously not going to bust out the tiles every time we want to multiply something. So let's try some of these. Let's talk about what this would have looked like if we weren't using tiles. Okay, so let's think about this problem right here. Okay, we have x times 3x plus 1. Okay. So I'm going to do it slightly different. I'm going to draw the tiles real quick, and then we're going to draw what that would look like if we did the box. So I have x times 3x, oopsie, I didn't go long enough, plus 1, okay? X times x is x squared. X times x is x squared. X squared. X times 1 is x, which makes my answer 3x squareds plus 1x, okay? Now, what if instead of drawing tiles, I drew numbers, expressions to explain what that was? So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to draw a box. Well, hold on. No, that box is wrong. I'm going to draw a box. Since I have one thing times two things, I'm going to make a 1 by 2 box. I'm going to put the first term over there, the first factor over there. The second factor I'm going to put up here, 3x plus 1. Now notice, I put the plus, I put each term. So see how the plus went with the 1? I put the plus with the 1 on the term. Okay? And that matches what I have here. It's almost like I have the same box right here. I have 3x plus 1, and I have an x. Okay? So 3x times x, 3 times 1 is 3. X times x is x squared. 1 times x is 1x. And when I write my final answer down, I just pull what's in the box and I combine my terms. 3x squared plus x. Okay, let me try another one. All right. Let's try 2x. Hold on a second. Let's try 2x times 3x minus 4. Okay? So first thing I want you to do is I want you to set up the box. I'm going to pause for a minute, give you a chance to get your own box set up. We're not doing tiles. We're going to actually set up a box. First of all, draw what size box you think you need based on the number of terms you have. Okay, so I have 2 factors. My first factor is 1 big. My second is 1 term big. My second factor, so I have a monomial and a binomial. So I need a 1 by 2 box. All right? Okay, now take a minute and label the sides of your box. So label, put whatever goes here and put the other ones here. Okay, so what you should have is you should have your 2x here. You should have your 3x here, and you should have minus 4 here. You're not putting the minus in the middle. You're putting the minus with the term. Okay? Now, all we're going to do now is we're going to multiply this through. So, I'm going to take 2 times 3 gives me 6. X times x gives me x squared. There's my first one. Negative 4 times 2 gives me 8. And that's an x. Now, why didn't I multiply the negative 4 times x? Because I already multiplied it. I'm separating it out. I'm multiplying numbers and letters. Well, there is no letter here, so all I have left is the x, just 1x. Okay? And that gives me 6x squared minus 8x as my final answer. Well, let's try one more. And I want you to try this one on your own. Negative 3x times 4x plus 7. So I want you to take a minute. I want you to set that up, set up a box, put it in the box, and solve it using the box. Okay, so I see that I have 2 factors. Okay, so I'm going to, and I have a monomial and a binomial, so I'm going to make a 1 by 2 box. Okay, I'm going to put my negative 3x here because it's my monomial. I'm going to put my binomial here. And then I'm going to multiply this out. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. X times x is x squared. 7 times negative 3 is negative 21. and there's no other variable, so it's just x. So this equals negative 12x squared minus 21x. Let's try one more, actually, an easy one. Let's try this one. Try that one. That's a really easy one. Okay, so I have two factors. They're each monomials, so I'm literally just going to draw one little box. I'm going to put 4x here, 3x here. 4 times 3 is 12. X times x is x squared. Okay. Again, we're practicing the strategy with the box because we're going to use it later. So I know you're like, well, yeah, it's just 12x squared, but I want you to practice using the box because we're going to use the strategy later on down the line.